So do you want some great advice? Go deeper, not faster. And I don't mean that in some kind of 70s porn sort of way. Just go deeper, as deep as you possibly can. You'll thank me later. Hi, I'm Rick, and welcome to Slow the Down, your periodic podcast on, well, everything slow and focused, and deep, especially deep. And in today's episode, we're going to have a rousing discussion on, well, all of the ways that you can improve your damn life. And in fact, we've got 10 suggestions, 10 great pieces of advice that will, well, get you where you need to be. Yep, 10 pieces of advice that are going to make you, well, stronger, faster, less hairy. Actually, all of that's a lie. But they are going to probably make you a little bit happier. Great piece of advice number 1, just say no. Embrace your inner 2-year-old. Become a toddler that you always wanted to be. Just say frickin' no. And by that I mean, say no to distractions. No. Say you're working on something, you got a big project at work, or you're mopping the floor, or you're doing some hobby that you love. Somebody is going to come up and go, hey, can you do this one thing real quick? It might even be you telling yourself, I'm just going to go answer a couple of emails. Maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that. And, I've been just say no. The whole idea of a happy, focused life is to focus on what you're focusing on. All too often, we just let these little things creep in. Now, I used to be a software developer, and I can tell you absolutely true that when somebody interrupts you, it takes 30 minutes for you to get back into that flow. So if you were doing something you truly enjoyed, something you were really, really deeply into that takes a little bit of brain power even, the minute you get distracted, you're done. You're done for 30 minutes. It's going to take you a long time to get back on track. Just say no. Okay, life advice number 2 is, well, it's exactly how I started off this podcast. It's go deeper and not faster. And by that I mean productivity, it's not your friend. I mean, who cares if you can complete a vacation in under 2 days so that you can get back to work? Who cares if you've got the spreadsheet from hell that allows you to check mark, document? It doesn't really matter how productive you are. If you're not happy about that productivity, if you're not enjoying the journey and you're not really going towards an end. And yeah, the reason this one is so high up on the list of things you shouldn't do is I'm guilty. I'm as guilty as anybody could possibly be guilty. And by that, I mean, I've got a YouTube channel. I've got a podcast. I've got articles that I write. I'm trying to start up this whole big business while driving around in this giant bus all around I have a lot on my table, and yeah, I don't tend to give each of those as much opportunity as they want. Like for today, for instance, we've been driving for I don't know how long across the great state of Arkansas, and I'm like, okay, I can work in this podcast really quick. But if I had just decided that this is what I wanted to do, and I had focused on it, and not, well, how much stuff can I do in a single day, I would be enjoying this more. Now I am sliding into this podcast. Don't feel like this is some kind of chore, me talking to you. But at the same time, it feels a little bit like that. So yeah, productivity, put it out the window. Enjoyment, find something you enjoy, focus on that. Everything else you can do everything else later. Life advice number 3, and here's a fun one. If your finger hurts from being hit with a hammer, stop hitting it with the damn hammer. By that I mean, how often do you, put yourself in front of somebody and say, hey, I'm a punching bag, just hit me as much as you want. Somebody does something that you don't particularly like, and you go, oh, that's okay, they didn't mean it. And then you stand up in front of them again, and they thwack you on the forehead or do whatever it was that hurt you. And you just keep putting yourself in position to be hurt. Your finger, you keep letting it get hit with a damn hammer. You see, here's the thing. It's not going to change, no matter how much you hope, no matter how much you wish for. And I don't just mean this like in a domestic situation. This could be at work. You could have the world's worst boss in the entire world. And over every single day, you go in and take their abuse. You go in and take that job's pile of steaming that they just dump on you every single day. Why are you doing that? It's your choice. Whatever life happens, well, it's because you picked it mostly. Now, granted, a lot of people may not have so much opportunity immediately, but in the long run, it is about your choice. In the long run, stop hitting yourself with a damn hammer. Okay, life advice number 4, and this one kind of comes with a bit of a dad joke analogy metaphor kind of thing, but life is like a color TV. Do you remember the old 12-inch black and white TVs we had back in the... I'm probably the only one really dating myself. You probably don't know what I'm talking about. We had little teeny black and white TVs before. No color at all. But that's basically the way the world is sort of right now. Everything is in black and white. Pick up any newspaper, anything at all, and people want to take a side. It's either this or that. It's A or B. It's one or two. The world is not binary. The world is, well, shades of gray. And actually, that's kind of a whole different story, isn't it? That would be about bondage. And anyway, it's not shades of gray. It's shades of color. Let's go that route instead. The entire world, your entire life, can be anything you choose. It doesn't have to be polarized on one side or another. No one has to be wrong in order for you to be right, or vice versa. If you want to be truly happy in life and truly enjoy the things that are being brought to you and that you can consume don't look at everything as simply either or. Don't look at it as either I want it or I don't. Look at it as maybe I'll try it. Maybe I'll like it. Maybe I'll like it a little bit. Maybe I'll like it a lot. But the point is, don't just go for the whites and the blacks. Go for all the color. And then you can do the whole 50 Shades of Grey thing because, well, maybe I'm going to make a number 11 because that sounds like a really interesting thing to talk about. And before we get into a number 5 and beyond, I want to apologize for one thing. If you hear some wind noise behind me, if you're on Spotify or YouTube, then you probably got a video to go along with this podcast, and you can see that I'm sitting outside in the middle of Arkansas, and the wind is a-blowing. But it's nice out here, and so you're going to have to put up with a little wind noise just so that I can, well, enjoy the not cold that I've been putting up with for the past week. Anyway, let's get to number 5. Don't be an unpopped kernel of popcorn. And what do I mean by that? Well, here comes another dad joke analogy metaphor kind of thing. Picture a popcorn in your head, if you will. Before it is popped, it's this hard little nugget of, well, nothingness. It's exactly the same as everything else. It's impenetrable. You can't chew it. You can't lick it. You can't eat it. But when you heat it up and it goes pop, all of a sudden, it's transformed. It's delicious. It's yummy. It's what everybody wants. Now, pick that whole bag up and you got all the yumminess, and what's at the very bottom? You got the duds. What would you rather be? A yummy, white, buttery, salty piece of popcorn, or that dud that just sits in the bottom that nobody wants and eventually you're going to be thrown into the trash? So what do I mean by all that? Yes, that was kind of a flowery little expression, and I hope as you're sitting there driving down the road or in your Barcalounger or wherever you happen to be listening to this podcast, that you can envision yourself as that yucky little brown burnt kernel at the bottom. And I really hope it just horrifies you that the idea is, because until you pop, until you expose yourself to something that's uncomfortable like oh God, this whole metaphor is just really going. Anyway, what I want you to do is experience life. If you truly want happiness, if you truly want something beyond the ordinary, then you got to expose yourself to things that you not normally would expose yourself to, and life happens. Wonderful things. Yeah, sometimes, really bad things, and the butter's too hot, and, you're not really a good piece of popcorn, but at the same time, how are you going to know unless you try? Don't be an unburnt piece of popcorn. And number 6 has got some really unpleasant truths, and I kind of want to stop here again and sort of make a little mention that, yeah, I know I'm probably sound like I'm preaching to you, and I'm kind of regurgitating things that you may have already known, but what I want you to do as you read through these like you're looking at a list, as you listen to these items that I'm describing, is sort of cherry pick. You don't have to do all 10 of them, but think of something like, oh, yeah, that kind of describes me, and, well, I wonder what would happen if I, did something differently. That's really kind of the whole point of this podcast, this episode, this show, is to put some seeds into your mind. Now, the reason I say that is because number 6 is, well, it's pretty horrible, and, well, I'm sorry for it in advance. Number 6, nobody cares about you. I mean, absolutely not a single person in the world gives a damn about what you're doing. Let me explain. Say you're walking around out in public, I don't know, the town square, the local mall, you're in the grocery store, and everything in your mind is going, oh, I hope people don't notice what I'm wearing. I hope they don't notice that the wrinkle and the stain that's on my shirt, and oh, I didn't do my hair today, and people are just judging me all over the place. Well, guess what? You're not that important. They don't care, because they're probably sitting over there in aisle 5 in front of the Frankenweenies thinking the exact same thing. You're not that important. You are not the focus of everybody's attention. Now, this really comes to light when you are doing an outdoor, say, a YouTube video, something I do quite often. You walk around with a camera in front of your hand, and you just figure everyone is going, oh, look at that idiot. What is he doing? I mean, in my mind's eye, everybody is staring at me. Everyone is pointing, going, oh, look, he's a narcissist. Look at his ego. What is he doing? Well, no one is really judging you. You're judging yourself. And it's kind of a weird idea to wrap your head around, but you're just using them as an expression of what is happening inside of your head and inside of your mouth. If they're worried about this stain on your shirt or your hair being messed up, well, that's you judging yourself. It's not other people. They don't care. So get out there, and it doesn't really matter what you wear. Well, it kind of does. But generally speaking, do what you need to do. Stop worrying about what everybody else thinks. Well, while we're on the harsh train, number 7 is also fairly brutal. And that is basically, I'll try to be nicer to you if you'll actually try to be smarter to the rest of us. And by that, I mean, and maybe I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the guy behind you. But maybe I am talking about you. And if I am, listen up and just try to put judgment aside for a second. There are people who just refuse to think. They're the ones who look at the headline. There are aliens amongst us. Or, I almost said something really horrific about religion, which truly would have gotten all of you upriled. But people actually believe in this stuff, and they don't think about it. They just regurgitate it, like the Republican Party is wonderful. Oh, there again, I said something that's probably going to anger half of you. But do some research. Critical thinking goes a long way. And by that, I mean, don't just take somebody else's word for it. For God's sakes, don't take my word for any of this crap that you're listening to today. But take it as a beginning. Take everything that you're given, everything that you see, hear, think, smell, touch, and use that as the basis to gain more knowledge. Now, see, people will be much more appreciative of you. They'll want to hang around you. They'll want to be informed by you if you're not just regurgitating sound bites off of CNN or Fox News or some wacky National Enquirer story. Just put some thought into everything that you do. It's going to take you 5 minutes. It's not going to hurt, I promise. Using your brain is not going to hurt. And, well, you and I can just be friends a little bit longer if you do. Number 8. And are we having fun yet? I mean, has any of the previous 7 actually, tick a little something inside of you? Or maybe you stopped listening a long time ago because, well, I pissed you off because all 7 of them apply to you. If so, well, I'm sorry you're not here, because the next 3 are going to be pretty good. Number 8, there is the slogan that you can needle point into a meme and hang up on your wall. And it says, some people are so poor that all they have is money. Now, I'm not saying that money is a bad thing. Money's a good thing. Money gets you things like diesel fuel to drive a bus around and eat good food and, have some clothes that don't look like they came out of a thrift store. But if the only thing you're chasing is money, be sure that's something that you're passionate about. Richness comes from within. Richness comes from people, from connections, from just about anything that you feel passionate about. So don't chase what everyone else tells you that you need to chase. For the longest time, that's exactly what I did. Society says, well, you have to chase this. You have to have a family. You have to have kids. You have to have a house, a bigger house. You better have a big job to pay for all of this, because at some point you're going to live in this big house. Grandchildren are going to come, and money, just... Well, no. Yeah, that's what everyone else wants. And if that's your thing, have at it. Hope you're really successful. But find what it is that truly makes you happy, and that is what's going to make you rich. Focus on that, not what everyone else wants you to focus on, because how can they speak for you? Only you can do that. Okay, we got 2 more to go, and before I do that, I want to take a break, because number 9 is kind of vulgar, and I might piss you off, and then you won't get to hear this next part. I want you to go to rickhiggins.com. That's rickhiggins.com. I am all over the place virtually, all the social media, YouTube. You really need to check out the YouTube channel. I do a lot of writing on Medium and other places, and we have something called the Sloth Club. Every link, just go to rickhiggins.com, and you will find me. Most importantly, I want you to reach out and tell me how I'm doing. Tell me about some topics that you would be interested in listening to or watching or reading about. Whatever it is, I would love to have a little bit of dialogue because frankly, sitting here talking into a microphone all by myself gets lonely as hell and I need a friend. Won't you be my friend? Which is really funny because number 9 is probably going to make you not my friend. And number 9, the advice is being a dick will not make yours bigger. You see, there are people that the only way that they can elevate themselves to rise up is to stand on someone else's shoulders and push them down. And I got some sad news for you, Mr. Bully. I'm going to keep pushing people until they start respecting me kind of guy. No, nobody's going to respect you. No one's going to want to be around you. Yeah, for the moment, in that brief little instant where you're being a dick. Yeah, maybe you have the upper hand. But in the long run, you're going to be completely lonely. Nobody's going to want to be near you. Absolutely nobody. You're not going to get what it is you're looking for. So if any part of that rings true to you, if you've got any bully in you whatsoever, just frickin' stop it. Now, I say that not just for the rest of us, but I truly do mean it for the rest of us because we can't stand that crap from you. But you yourself, you will be happier. You will have more people around you. You will have more self-worth, Just stop putting the negative onto other people. You are not bigger, stronger by being bigger, stronger. You're bigger and stronger by being loving and helpful. Enough said. And number 10 is another meme-worthy slogan. I have to look over here. It says, when you see a closed door, open it, because that's how they work. And by that, I mean take opportunities. For instance, it wasn't that long ago, less than 2 years ago, that I was doing what probably everyone else is doing. I was working for the man, 9 to 5, living for the weekend, all those good songs that they have out there. But that was my life, and I wasn't very happy, and I wasn't taking very many opportunities. Now, granted, the pandemic had a little bit to do with that, but even before that, there were not opportunities being had. And unless you actually open that door, walk through it, and try something, you'll never know whether you like it or not. You know how little kids or adults always go, well, I don't like chicken fricassee because it's gross. Well, have you ever tried it? Well, no. Well, how do you know? How do you know that whatever's beyond that door, whatever that opportunity is, whether you're going to like it or not? Even if it's a 50-50 shot, even half the time you're going to go, ugh, that's gross. Well, the other half you're going to go, oh my God, that's the greatest thing I've ever put in my mouth. And I don't just mean this by food, but I truly, truly encourage you to be a food connoisseur, try everything, because there's some stuff out there that you just got to try. But anyway, I digress. We're talking about life. The door that I decided to open was unemployment. What I did was I basically quit my career of 40 years and said, I'm done. I'm going to take a sabbatical, 2 years, maybe more. And I'm going to wander the earth like Cain. And that's what I did. I spent, 8 months, just sort of international travel, living in Airbnbs, examining cultures and absorbing what worked and spitting out what didn't. And I truly enjoyed it. And now I'm living in a school bus driving around the Americas. So if you see a big green school bus with brown stripes, wave at me when I go by. I'll wave back. But the whole point is there was a door. I walked through it. There was an opportunity and I love it. And it's just the way I'm living my life now. And yeah, granted, a lot of the stops and a lot of the things that we're doing as part of this new life is, well, really gross and I don't like it. But at the same time, there's so many more that are just surprising that I never would have guessed that I would have enjoyed. And I never would have found them if I hadn't walked through that door. So have I insulted your intelligence enough yet? Have I pontificated and given you my opinion? Nothing that I've said is new. Absolutely nothing should go, oh, I never thought of that before, because it's all common sense stuff that we all forget about in just the run-of-the-mill day-to-day existence. We get so wrapped up in what we're doing that we forget about, well, what we could have been doing, what we might have been doing. And what I would love for you to do, remember I told you rickhiggins.com, go find me, tell me some ideas that you've got. We'll make another one of these. We'll have you on and you can sort of pontificate and tick people off with your insulting behavior like I've just done anyway. I want to thank you for listening and we will see you soon.